Is Joe Marler the most hated man in New Zealand? Now he's called for the HAKA to be binned off. He's also binned off his own Twitter account off the back of the backlash that he got. So, yeah, interesting. Thank you, Joe, for hyping up this game. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. Your thoughts in the comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. I'm stood at the airport. I said on the last video where I covered off the England team that this is just one of my favourite parts of the world, the Peloponnese, the Mani in Greece. But I cannot find a nice looking part of this airport. It looks the same as it did when I first came here all those years ago. So yeah, I was standing in front of some barbed wire fence. There we go. So what has Joe Marler said? He has said, and I quote, "The HAKA needs binning. It's ridiculous." Agree? Disagree? I mean, he's entitled to an opinion. I would suggest that Joe Marler's opinion there is a minority one. I certainly don't agree to it. But I do agree to some level with what he followed it up with. As I say, he's now deleted his Twitter or X account or whatever you want to call it. He said, though, it's only good when teams actually front it with some sort of reply. Now, I would actually say, to a degree, I'm with Joe Marler on that one. And can I just say, he has deleted his Twitter account and he has got a load of stick, but I will just say it is refreshing to see a rugby player willing to offer an opinion. It's quite rare. Sport athletes quite often, and one of the beautiful things about rugby is it was different to a lot of sports, and you did get these, and rugby still does have these athletes which are really interesting human beings, but that gets suppressed because of social media and the internet and all the rest of it. And I quite like the fact, whether you agree or don't agree, that I quite like that Joe Marler offered an opinion. I'm not sure his England teammates will particularly be happy with the timing of his opinion, because it might just add a little bit of spice and motivation to New Zealand ahead of the game at Twickenham this weekend, and maybe that's behind him deleting his Twitter account. But I do actually agree with that second point. I think many people agree with that second point, that maybe it's got a bit too sanitised and a bit too safe and a bit too regulated, what teams are allowed to and aren't allowed to do and what the rules are. Come on, I reckon we can loosen up. And what I will say about the HAKA is, I think, as well as, you know, an important cultural nod and texture for New Zealand to bring to their rugby, leaning into the history and the traditions of those islands, I also think it's an amazing bit of theatre as a curtain raiser for a game. And I'm all for anything which creates a bit more theatre and a bit more entertainment for the fans. Now, World Rugby are always saying, when they come up with their 57,000 law changes every year, they're always saying, oh, it's being fan-led. This is all about the fans. Well, yeah, on to Joe Marler's point, let's make the HAKA more about the fans. Why do teams have to stand back 20 metres or whatever it is, or behind halfway? Why is that the case? For fear of offending someone? I think, as I say, I understand the cultural significance, the tradition, the symbolism. I get all of that. But think about some of the HAKAs that you remember. I bet you remember 2007, France, in the Rugby World Cup, taking off their tracksuit tops to reveal a red, white and blue tricolour coloured t-shirts and standing right in the face of New Zealand. Incredible bit of theatre. You remember, was it Norm MacDonald, the hooker, and Richard Cockerell, the English hooker, face to face, literally nose to nose, as he was doing the HAKA. And then they went and played a brilliant game against each other, a massively entertaining match. I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. The fact is that, how much hype did Owen Farrell get because he gave a little smirk at the 2019 Rugby World Cup semi-final? The fact that a little smile can cause that much of a ruckus and that much reaction, that just goes to show how sanitised it has become. I remember another game, I forget which year it was. I think it may have been under Clive Woodward, but there was all this hype in the media ahead of an England-New Zealand game because England were going to pick up a blade of grass and throw it in the air. That's just how sanitised it's become. If a team wants to react to it, let them. Let them. It doesn't, I think what I would say is two things can be true at once. You can respect, value, cherish the traditions and cultures of the different countries which play rugby union, and you can allow there to be a little bit more, something a bit more unpredictable and a bit more theatre at a rugby game. I think the two can coexist, and it isn't an either or. For example, talk about things that I would love to see and and I'm so jealous of everyone that's at Twickenham this weekend, what they will get to experience, is Jerusalem at Twickenham. When Jerusalem is sung, I wish it was our national anthem. It is amazing. Hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I feel so proud to be English, and that would hype me up for a game. Here's what I do think. Just on the relaxing the regulations, let teams have a response if they want to. I bet you what would happen is on most occasions, teams won't bother. They'll just stand there as they do now, watch the HAKA, arm in arm, go and play a rugby game. Great, on you go. But every now and again, when an occasion demands it, when it feels right, a team will come up with a response which feels right. And that will be amazing for the fans, and that will create memorable moments. It will create more talking points. Joe Marler mentioned the England v Samoa Rugby League match and the fact that they were face to face. That doesn't happen every game, but on the occasion when it did, it just felt amazing. So let them get on with it. Let them do it. Create more theatre. Create more moments. I love it, for example. I wonder if there is an element of, like, scarcity has a value, doesn't it? We're always talking about play less rugby, play fewer games, because scarcity has a value. Quality, not quantity. I don't know, I'm just spitballing ideas now. Maybe New Zealand shouldn't do a HAKA every single game. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what I think, just throwing ideas around. Maybe it will feel more special if they keep it for special occasions, or games that really matter, or a player's having a 100th cap. And then you'd be waiting for a game going, I wonder if we're going to see the HAKA. And then when they do it, it will feel amazing. Just a thought. It's like I love it when you're not sure which HAKA they're going to do. And that little extra spice you feel when they do a kappa or a panga and go down fist to the floor. I love that. So maybe they need to introduce a couple of other, or another HAKA which they just keep for really special occasions to create that scarcity. Also, just another idea. I'm not saying this is what I think, but just since Joe Marler started the conversation, you might not like the way he started the conversation, but just to keep it going, what about if, when New Zealand play away, the HAKA isn't the last thing that happens? I think that's a legitimate suggestion. Why should it be that it's both anthems and then the HAKA? When a team's at home, shouldn't they get the last say? Maybe it should be that teams stand opposite each other at halfway, turn 90 degrees from where they are at the minute, so their backs are to the posts, and they're facing the other team, and they stand there. And New Zealand, like this weekend when they're at Twickenham, they do their anthem, and then they do the HAKA, and then England do their anthem, and off we go. Don't know, it's just a thought. I'd love to know what you think. You may well just think Joe Marler's a tool. You're allowed to say that. I disagree. I like that he offers up an opinion. I wish more rugby players would, and he has started a conversation. So let's keep the conversation going in the comments down below. I'll see you on the next video.